Hi, and welcome back to this special Tuesday edition of Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. This is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on conservative talk radio. Saw a story today. This will just absolutely grind your gears. This just grinds my gears like you would not believe, and I think it'll have the same effect on you. You know, Major Nadal Hassan, the guy that shot up Fort Hood, killed 13 of his fellow soldiers, 14 victims if you count the baby in the womb of one of the soldiers. She was pregnant. Injured 32. Do you know that that guy has been paid $278,000 since he shot that place up? $278,000. Your money, my money, coming out of the wallets of our kids and our grandkids to pay him while he sits in military prison. That is, apparently there's some kind of military regs that they can't cut off his pay until he's found guilty. Well, criminally put him on trial and get this thing done. This happened in 2009. Criminally, we're 3.5 years into this thing. This guy's sitting there, won't shave his beard. They won't shave it for him. What kind of ninnies do we have running the military? Strap the guy down, take a razor to him, and get rid of the beard and put him on trial. Get this thing done. Instead, he's sitting there, won't shave his beard, and we're paying him $278,000. Now, here's the thing that really grinds my gears is these victims, some of these victims that he shot up, remember the military would not classify this as an act of terror. So these individuals are not entitled to combat pay even though they got shot by an enemy of the United States. They're not even entitled to the kind of medical care that you get if you suffer your wounds in combat, because remember, this was an example, according to our benighted military, in their politically correct obsequiousness toward Islam. It was workplace violence. They didn't talk about Islam or Muslim or the word terror or jihad anywhere in their 86-page report. So some of these victims are virtually broke, and they're eating top ramen to survive. Here's a guy that's profiled in this piece that's on NBC in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Logan Burnett. He's retired now, Army Specialist Logan Burnett. He's a reservist. He was shot 3 times in this deal. He's now fighting a new battle, only this one is against the U.S. Army. The Army has not classified the wounds of the Fort Hood victims as combat-related, declines to label the shooting a terrorist attack. The combat-related designation is an important one, for without it, Burnett and other shooting victims are not given combat-related pay. They are not eligible for Purple Heart retirement or medical benefits given to other soldiers wounded either at war or during the September 11, 2001 attack on the Pentagon. As a result, Burnett, his wife Tori, and the families of other Fort Hood victims miss out on thousands of dollars of potential benefits and pay every year. He said this: there have been times when my wife and I cannot afford groceries. We cannot afford gas in our car. Literally, times where we ate ramen noodles for weeks on end. This thing that Hassan is still getting a paycheck makes me sick to my stomach. Me too. Now let's play a couple of sound bites that have to do with these unfolding scandals. Why don't we grab clip number 6 if we can, Rob, the Bob Schieffer clip. This is the one that I wanted to play yesterday. Remember, Dan Pfeiffer's out there on all these Sunday morning shows. He was just a lackey. He's a low-level guy. They're doing the same thing with him, as I said yesterday, that they're doing to Susan Rice. They send him out there because he doesn't know enough to get himself in trouble. They don't want anybody out there representing them that actually knows the details and knows the facts, because they look so bad for the administration. So Susan Rice, she's the ambassador to the UN. She doesn't know anything about Benghazi. She doesn't know anything about what's going on at the Department of Homeland Security or National Security. She doesn't know any of that. So they send her out with these talking points that they cobbled together Saturday afternoon. So they got plausible deniability. She doesn't know any better. So as far as Susan Rice is concerned, she's not lying. She's just reading stuff that she's been given by people presumably that she trusts, and the fact that it's just a pack of lies. She doesn't even know that. She doesn't know enough to know that she's being used as a pawn, as a dupe to lie to the American people. Well, I think this Dan Pfeiffer, same deal. He doesn't have any idea what's going on. And Bob Schieffer, clip 6, CBS News, He's pretty torqued at what the White House is doing to him and sending a low-level lackey like Dan Pfeiffer out to talk to him. Let's listen.
But what I'm saying to you is that was just PR. That was just a PR plan to send out somebody who didn't know anything about what had happened. Why did you do that? Why didn't the Secretary of State come and tell us what they knew? And if you knew nothing, say, we don't know yet. Why didn't the White House Chief of Staff come out? I mean, and I mean this is no disrespect to you, why are you here today? Why isn't the White House Chief of Staff here to tell us what happened?
That's a great question. Why isn't somebody who has some idea what's going on, why aren't they here to talk to us today? Well, it's because Dan Pfeiffer doesn't know enough to be a danger to the administration. Here's Bob Schieffer, clip number 9, Rob, if we can drop down to that. This is Bob Schieffer in his commentary Sunday after talking to Dan Pfeiffer and talking about the hash that the Obama administration has made out of all these scandals. You got the Benghazi scandal, the talking point scandal. You got the IRS going after Tea Party groups. You got the Department of Justice infringing on the First Amendment, freedom of the press. And here's Bob Schieffer, these clumsy efforts on the part of the Obama administration to paper over all this. Here's Bob Schieffer.
I admit I had about the same reaction when I first heard the IRS had gone after the Tea Party last year. The Tea Party, surely no one could be dumb enough to think you could get away with something like that in an election year. But they were. So welcome to Dumb and Dumber.
Welcome to Dumb and Dumber. Jeff played some sound bites from that movie yesterday as part of the opening montage, another one of his brilliant teasers for the program. But that's what Bob Schieffer is now referring to this administration as what Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in that movie, Dumb and Dumber. Now, let's back up to clip 5 if we can, Rob. Well, let's back up to clips 3 and 4, the Chuck Todd clips. Chuck Todd talking about the media or the Department of Justice going after reporters to sit on them and to intimidate them. And this is Chuck Todd. He's in the tank for liberalism. He's in the tank for progressivism. He's in the tank for secular fundamentalism. He's in the tank for Barack Obama. He is a minister of propaganda. And that's why this thing is disturbing these people, because they thought, man, we're on the same team. We are hand in glove. We're working together to turn the United States into a Marxist socialist utopia. And all of a sudden we find out that Barack the Benevolent has been spying on us. Here's what Chuck Todd, bona fide card-carrying member of the uber left-wing media, had to say about that. Clip 1.
It's chilling. I guess they owe us an explanation, but it's absolutely chilling because the broad scope of what they subpoenaed in going after phone records. By the way, they ended up potentially tapping reporters' phone records from a bunch of news organizations in the broad way that they went out and subpoenaed the Capitol Hill press room, because any reporter from any news organization could have been using that. So here they claim they were even just going after the Associated Press.
Chuck, you've worked the Hill. Can you talk about when you tap the AP's phone in the Capitol?
Well,
just
it's
how
broad
just
shared.
That goes?
Yeah. Well, it's just that they went to the Capitol press room, so there's some shared communications there. But the idea of going after people's personal cell phones, which, by the way, is where majority of reporting is done when you're doing telephone reporting these days, it just seems it's just over the top. And so you wonder, they better have they better have a very good explanation of whatever fish that they're trying to smoke out.
And here is clip number 2, Chuck Todd saying, look, where this is going, what we saw with the IRS going after the Tea Party, the whole point of that was to dry up contributions to the Republican Party. I heard a guest on a talk show program yesterday saying, look, I'm a bundler for the Republican Party. Since this Tea Party thing has come out, the IRS going after the Tea Party, doing the audits, I can't get a check from anybody. Nobody will donate to the Republican Party because they're deathly afraid that the IRS is going to come after them like they went after the donors to Mitt Romney's campaign. I can't get a dollar. That was the whole point. Now, Chuck Todd is saying, look, here is what the whole point is with the Department of Justice going after members of the media. Let's listen.
Let's realize the reality of what really is going on here, which is this is an attempt, and I thought Lisa Myers put it well a little while ago. This has been an attempt, a concerted effort to try to spook anybody that might leak, anybody that might be a source, anybody that might be a whistleblower in government, and sort of keep them from at all ever talking to the press. So
Carl
it really is an
Bernstein
attempt to hinder the ability of the press to do their job.
That this is all about intimidation.
This is intimidation, and that's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. And unless they have a different explanation as to what they were really doing, there's no other conclusion to draw than this is simply a way to intimidate whistleblowers.
So the IRS business was a way to intimidate donors to conservative causes, donors to the Republican Party, the DOJ going after the Associated Press, going after James Rosen and two of his colleagues at Fox News. Now Cheryl Atkinson from CBS News doing good reporting on Libya, the only mainstream media reporter doing decent reporting. She now says her computer has been tampered with since February of 2011. All this is designed to intimidate members of the media so they don't tell the truth about the administration. Let's grab clip number 2. This is Wayne Root. He was a classmate of Barack Obama's at Columbia, and he is one of the men who personally, not just groups now, but individuals have been targeted by the IRS, and he says it's not just me. Let's listen.
I've never done anything wrong in my life. I have a spotless, perfect tax record. I'm a small businessman. I'm not super rich. There's no possible way they could find anything, yet I'm under massive IRS assault. And when I win the case, 5 days later, a new IRS audit. If that isn't proof that this was political and that they're going after individuals, not just Tea Party groups, it's not in the news yet. The news media has not opened up to the fact that this is individuals with a face. And yes, you mentioned Frank Vandersloot, a big Romney donor. That's the first guy that I called after this happened to me. A year ago, I called him to start the investigation myself and figure out, am I alone? Because I read in the newspaper that Vandersloot was a billionaire in Idaho, and he'd been audited and had a visit by the Labor Department. So I called him, and I realized this is a pattern. I personally must know 15 people, Bill, who wrote out big checks to Mitt Romney and within 90 days got IRS audit notices. This is a scam, folks. This is bullying, intimidation, Chicago thug politics at its finest. And I'm a small businessman with a wife and 4 kids who almost got ruined and wiped out.
So Wayne Root says, look, it wasn't just me. There were 15 donors that I know personally. So who knows how many others are out there. 15 donors that I know personally who have been audited, harassed, intimidated by the IRS because they donate to Republican or conservative causes. You know, the phrase that occurred to my mind, and this is not an exaggeration, I rarely use a term like this, but ladies and gentlemen, the Obama administration, in the words of Jesus, is a brood of vipers. And that is the kindest thing that you could say about them, a brood of vipers. Back in 2. Stay with us.